On Read, Write, Roar, explore the concept of urban sprawl and its impact on nature by writing powerful haiku that capture the balance between cities and the natural world. Then embark on an adventure at the International Wildlife Refuge to learn how to conduct research, compare habitats, and protect wildlife. Let's go read, write, roar.
This program is made possible in part by the state of Michigan and by viewers like you. Thank you.
An important question in the world right now is how big do we want cities to be? Should we just let them grow and grow as large as possible? Tokyo in Japan has 37 million people living in it. That's a lot of people. The bigger cities get, the more they spread out into land that contains natural wildlife. Buildings and roads and parking lots appear where there used to be trees and ponds and animals. When cities grow and take over land that used to be natural, it's known as urban sprawl. Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Cass, and speaking of Tokyo, today we're going to explore the effects of urban sprawl in the natural world through an ancient form of Japanese poetry called haiku. You may have heard of haiku before, but I want to warn you, I'm probably going to explain haiku in a way that's slightly different. Haiku is a poetic form roughly 800 years old. A lot of teachers say haiku is a 3-line poem about nature that consists of 17 total syllables, where the first line contains 5 syllables, the second line contains 7 syllables, and the third line contains 5 syllables. A syllable is a part of a word that contains a vowel sound. For example, the word sunset has 2 syllables. The first syllable is sun, and it contains the short U, sound. The second syllable is set, and contains the short E, sound. But serious writers of haiku in English say that because the music of the Japanese language is so different from the music of English, if you try to use the same syllable count in English, the rhythm of the poem sounds completely different than it would in Japanese. As a result, it doesn't make any sense to count English syllables at all. What's important, these serious writers of haiku say, is to think more about the essence, or the big idea of what a haiku tries to do. The essence of a haiku is to capture a small moment with an image that appeals to the 5 senses. The image is then presented to the reader as a kind of, a gift, with the hope the reader will then experience a feeling similar to what the writer felt when they wrote it. William J. Higginson, author of the Haiku Handbook, calls haiku a touchstone of suggestiveness. What he means by that is haiku describes a moment, but how the moment feels is not described. How it feels is up to the reader. It's true haiku are short, and they're usually, but not always, 3 lines. They often explore nature, but specifically what they explore is the intersection between humankind and the natural world. That's why they're a good way to examine the idea of urban sprawl, which is the intersection of human-built cities and the natural world. Let me show you some examples that a Michigan author of haiku might write. On the lake bottom, a walleye peeks into the nose of a soda bottle. You see how this poem paints a picture of the intersection of humankind and the natural world? In the poem, something natural, a walleye, interacts with the beauty of the lake bottom, and then something human-built, a soda bottle, seems to intrude on the natural beauty of the world. You also see how while the poem is 3 lines, the syllable count is 5, 6, 8. That adds up to 19 total syllables. That's perfectly fine. Here's another haiku. Mist rises above a stand of Michigan pines and a cell phone tower. Can you see here how a beautiful and peaceful sight of something natural, mist rising above pine trees, appears to be interrupted by the human-made cell phone tower? Can you feel the suggestion that the technology that's supposed to make our lives easier might also have the side effect of changing the beauty of our natural environment? Can you also see here that the syllable pattern is 7, 5, and then 6, that's absolutely okay. Let's look at one more where the theme is slightly different. In the dumpster behind a restaurant's kitchen, the glint of a raccoon's eye. Can you see how this poem suggests more of the natural world kind of finding its way within or adapting to the human world? It's not necessarily the human-built world of the restaurant intruding on the natural world of the raccoon, but more the raccoon salvaging what it can, which may or may not be healthy for it when it explores the human world. The syllable count here is 4, and then 8, then 7, for a total of 19 syllables, and that's fine too. Let's have you give writing some haiku a try. Notice I didn't say haikus, because the plural of the word haiku is still haiku, like fish. You can catch one fish, or you can catch 12 fish. Same thing with haiku. You can write one haiku, or you can write 5 haiku. I'm challenging you to write at least 3. Remember, we're exploring the notion or the idea of urban sprawl, when cities spread into the surrounding countryside. Think of some images that suggest an intersection between the human-built world and the natural world. You don't have to worry about counting syllables, but if you like the idea of doing that, go ahead. Just keep each haiku short, a small snapshot that suggests a feeling. Have fun and share your favorite creation with a friend. See if you can inspire them to write their own haiku.
Miss AP here to help restore your energy. Before we begin, let's start with our warm-up by doing 2 forward folds. Standing your tall mountain, arms up, folding over, feeling that stretch, rolling up one last time, arms up, folding over, feeling that stretch, rolling back into your tall mountain. Nice job. Now that we have warmed up our bodies, we are ready to exercise. Today, we are going to continue to practice our burpee, and I have a few new moves to show you. We'll start in our ready position, feet apart, hands at our sides. We'll go into our squat position like we're going into our imaginary chair. We're going to come forward, hands on the floor. Instead of walking our feet out, we're going to jump our feet back. Jump our feet back in. Reset by standing. One last time into our squat position. Hands down, out on the ground. Kick your legs out. Kick them back in. Come all the way up. Reset your body and give yourself a big clap, clap. Nice job. Let's cool down by taking 2 deep breaths. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Great job.
What tools do media makers use to help an image like this one feel calm or inviting, or cold and scary like this one? I'm working on my film about the Michigan Central train station in Detroit, and I want to show how welcoming the station is to everyone who visits. But how can I do this? Hey scholars, I'm Media Literacy Maddie. Maybe you could help me. Let's study some images so that we can figure out how media makers create tone or mood. Each image in a video is chosen to help create a certain feeling for the viewer. Let's take a look at our images again. This image feels calm and inviting. It makes you want to lay in the grass and feel the warmth from the sun. And that is why this is called warm lighting. Warm light is yellow or orangish in color. In video and film production, the color of light is called color temperature. Many media makers would agree this type of lighting creates a calm feeling, which we call mood or tone. Media makers have the advantage of using not only their words, but also different production tools like lights to change the mood of their films. Have you ever watched a scary Halloween movie with a scene that looked like this? The look of this scene was created by media makers who used special lights to make it look creepy or scary. This lighting is close to blue, and we call that cool lighting. Media makers can create other moods with their lights as well. Let's find Miss Kara. She's watching a film about the March on Washington while also learning about lighting and tone. Hello, scholars. It's so good to see you. Let's take a look at this scene from the documentary film Detroit's Walk to Freedom to the March on Washington, 60 Years of Civil Rights Legacy. This film was produced by One Detroit for Detroit PBS. Unlike the scary house we saw earlier, the lighting in this scene is very different. Remember when Media Literacy Maddie was talking about the calm mood she wanted to achieve when she wrote about the Michigan Central train station? What kind of mood do you feel when Miss Edith Lee Payne sits in the church pews?
She decided that we would go to Washington. She would always stress to me how important it was for me to be the best that I could always be, and I could achieve and be whatever I wanted to be. It helped me be more of an American, which is what I am. The fact that I'm Black American is secondary. That doesn't define me, and our colors should never define us. Dr. King didn't want our colors to define us.
In order to create this mood inside of the church, the media maker needed to bring in special lights, which gave off a warm color temperature so the scene appeared yellow or gold. This helps the viewer feel calm and comforted while watching the scene. Here is an example of what some of the lights look like. Do you notice that the color of their light is yellow and the mood of the room is calm? Now it's your turn to practice being a filmmaker. Do you have a piece of paper and a pencil handy? Let's pretend it's a stormy night out. What kind of lighting would you use to create a scene with a dramatic mood? A mood that's a bit intense and exciting. I'm going to write, in order to create a stormy night scene, I'm going to make the room dark. I will add flashing lights to create a lightning effect. As you watch different shows or movies, notice how the lighting is used to create a certain feeling for the viewers. This will help you understand the mood or tone of the show or movie better. You might see bright lights in happy scenes and darker lights in scary or sad scenes. How do these affect your mood?
Hi explorers, it's Mr. Peterson. Check out my gear today. Where do you think I might be headed? If you said I'm headed on an exciting adventure to the Wildlife Refuge, you'd be correct. We are at a special place called the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge in Trenton, Michigan, to help me start a research project that is focused on the question, how are wetland, forest, and prairie habitats similar? Before we get started on our research, I want to talk to the refuge manager, Dan Kennedy, about what the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge is and what makes it unique. Hi Dan, thank you for having us here at the refuge. So what do you do here at the refuge?
Well, first, welcome, Brian. We have three main purposes. We do fish and wildlife conservation, primarily associated with the Detroit River. Wetlands are our primary focus. Second, we connect people to nature. We have a bunch of community engagement programs where we work with the community to have them appreciate nature. And third, we're building a program to work with our Canadian partners on managing a joint resource, the Detroit River. Each country owns a little bit of the Detroit River, and so we're trying to work collaboratively with our Canadian partners.
That's amazing. So what makes this refuge unique?
We have quite a few things that make the refuge unique. Our big draw is Humbug Marsh. Humbug Marsh is an internationally recognized wetland, and it is the last mile of undeveloped land on the Detroit River on the US side. So it's really unique, and it's a great resource for bird watchers or kayakers and all that stuff. Second, this used to be a Chrysler plant. We're standing on property that used to be a Chrysler plant that was decommissioned in 1990 and then restored to what we see today, which then brings me to our third unique thing, and it's the John D. Dingle Visitor Center, which we honor the congressman who this wouldn't be possible without his efforts.
Thank you, Dan, for that wonderful information. It's really going to help me with my research project.
You're welcome, Brian, and good luck with the project.
Now let's get started on our adventure as we gather information around our big question. Let's take a walk and record or write down some notes about what we observe in each habitat. Observations are an important way to gather information for our recordings. This is a wetland habitat. It's a wetland habitat because there's usually water. This wetland habitat is known as Humbug Marsh. Let's make some observations and record them. The first thing I noticed is there's some ducks and some egrets. I'm also noticing these turtles up on the log. When I look around at the plants, I see there's a number of different aquatic plants. I see cattails, I see swamp milkweed, and I see purple loosestrife, which is an invasive species. And if we listen, we can hear there's lots of insects. These dead trees in the wetlands provide homes for some animals and a great hunting perch for birds like the kingfisher. All right, let's head out to our next habitat. This is a forest habitat. A forest habitat contains trees and undergrowth, like small bushes and other small plants. Let's observe and see what we can find in this forest habitat. This is a tussock moth caterpillar whose host plant is milkweed. This is pokeweed. You want to be very careful with this plant. It's poison ivy. This centipede lives on the forest floor. Up in the trees, I see a blue jay. These trees are dead, but this helps provide a home for some of our forest animals. All right, let's move on to our final habitat. This is a prairie habitat. A prairie habitat contains low-lying grasses. Let's explore and see what we can find here in this prairie habitat. Here we see goldfinches and dragonflies. We also see common milkweed, which is a host plant for one of our favorite butterflies, the monarch. Here we see some species of bees. Now that we visited a wetland, a forest, and a prairie, and recorded our observations, we can look at what we recorded to help answer our big question. How are wetland, forest, and prairie habitats similar? We noticed ducks and egrets in the wetlands, and blue jays in the forest, and goldfinches in the prairies. These are examples of different birds. We found swamp milkweed in the wetlands, and we found common milkweed in both the forest and prairie habitats. We found insects in all three habitats. We also found dead trees or dead plants in every habitat. These dead trees and plants actually provide home for a lot of animals and even some food. So you can see that by taking a walk at the Detroit River International Wildlife Refuge and recording observations, I was able to get a great start on my main research project question. How are wetland, forest, and prairie habitats similar? Observations and recordings are powerful tools. Writers, such as scientific writers, use the power of observation and recording to help provide research for their writings. Now I can use the information from my observations to help me plan the next steps in my research project. How could you use observations and recordings to help with your next research project? Once you have an idea, grab some paper, get a writing utensil, and get out there and explore.
Hello friends, I'm Miss Audra, and today we're going to go underground. So I want you to think about all the sounds that you might hear underground. You might hear a little worm moving through the dirt, or a little mole digging, or a little bunny rabbit and its family down in a little burrow, all kinds of things. So I want you to think about all the different sounds you could imagine and the sound that you want to make. Before we do that, let's take a deep cleansing breath together and steady our bodies. Here we go. out any way you want today. And a breath in. And hold. Blow it out. So, think about a sound that you're going to make. Something underground, something moving underground. Maybe it's even a plant, a little seed is breaking out of its shell and starting to climb towards the surface. So hold that in your heart and think about a movement you're going to make. You can use your hands, your arms, or your whole body if you have the space. And on the count of 3, I'm going to listen and then I'm going to add my sound too. 1, 2, 3. Sound now. What a beautiful soundscape that we created. Just thinking about all the sounds that happen under our feet. Let's take one more breath together. Here we go. And hold. Then we blow it out like a little ant. We'll see you next time.
Know yourself, be self-aware. Check your feelings, show you care. Manage actions, keep your cool. Reach your goals, follow the rules. See a friend, understand their view. Share a smile, that's what we do. Make good choices, think it through. Make good choices, think it through.
Did you know that there are 3 main ways to communicate? They are verbal, nonverbal, and written. Greetings, friends. I am Miss Yarnell, your 21st Century Skills Coach. What are 21st Century Skills? 21st Century Skills are the skills and knowledge you need to do well, be happy, and keep learning in school and in life. And today, we are going to discover how these 3 primary forms of communication help us connect and understand each other better. Are you ready? All aboard, future captains! First superpower and skill, your words. We refer to this as verbal communication. Whether you're asking for help, sharing an epic tale, or solving a problem in class, the words you choose to speak are powerful and can save the day. The choice is up to you. Remember, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Next up is our silent superpower, nonverbal communication, which includes our facial expressions, body language, and even how we stand or sit. A thumbs up can show we agree, a smile can spread happiness, looking someone in the eye and a nod to say I'm listening. Awareness of our silent signals and body language helps us communicate without saying a word. Our third superpower is when you share your thoughts, ideas, or information with others by writing them down. Written communication. We can write books, emails, text messages, or even post on social media. What you say can stay around and online forever. If you write mean or inappropriate things, it can hurt your name, friendships, and future chances for things like getting into college or finding a job. All right, friends, it's Journal Quest time. Your mission? Reflect on a time when someone misunderstood something you said. For example, in high school, I was on the basketball team, and during a game, I tried to tell one of my teammates to pass the ball more. She gave me a confused look because she could not make out my words over the noise in the gym. Her confusion quickly turned to irritation, and she rolled her eyes at me because she thought I was saying she wasn't a good player. She became upset with me, which made me upset, and we lost the game. What I could have done differently was wait until a break to talk it out and make sure I was clear that she's a great player, but we can work together to pass and make our team even better. Now it's your turn to write about what happened and what you could have done differently to turn the misunderstanding into a positive interaction. Whether you're talking, using body language and nonverbal cues, or writing, you're using your communication superpowers to connect with others and the world. Keep practicing and discovering new ways to share your unique ideas and feelings, and you'll be a communication superhero in no time. Thank you for spending this time with us. Until our next adventure, we will close with a song by Miss Melody Jones titled Unkind Words.
Unkind words cause lasting damage. Let our words be kind and sweet. Use words to grow relationships. Let our words be kind and sweet. Oh yeah. Unkind words cause lasting damage.
Thank you for watching. For more episodes, videos, lessons, activity guides, and more, be sure to visit us at our website. And don't forget, read, write, roar!
This program is made possible in part by the state of Michigan and by viewers like you. Thank you.